started. We'll get started. Before we do, I'd like to remind the audience that the meeting is being filmed, and so you won't be on the screen if you are asking a question. Okay? But before we formally start the meeting, I'd like to read the statement. If you could all stand, that'd be great. So, the atrocities in Manchester on Monday are almost impossible to fathom, and as we stand here tonight, our thoughts and our deepest sympathy are with the families and children and communities across the country whose lives have been torn apart. On behalf of all the members and officers, I'd like to commend the courage of the so many who came to the aid of others in the midst of the chaos that followed, and praise the bravery of the emergency and support services for their remarkable and swift efforts, putting their lives at risk to save others. We continue to live with terrorism, whilst there are still individuals who are set on killing and injuring innocents in this way. But I'm certain that even more convinced after the outpouring of support of the people in Manchester in the last few days, that whatever is thrown in front of the British people's direction, we will continue and remain truly defiant in the face of these barbaric acts. Our very deepest sympathy and condolences go out to all of those families, friends and communities who have lost their loved ones, and we'll take a minute's silence to remember those and their families. Thank you. Lastly, I'd like to remind everybody that there's a book of condolence at the reception of the council officers for everybody to sign and pay payment. I'd formally like to welcome you to the meeting this evening and ask the executive to introduce themselves, please. So I'll start with Borough.
Good evening. I'm responsible for Finance, HR, 21st Century Council and Internal Services, and I'm the Councillor for Westcott.
Hello there, I'm Councillor Mark Ashwell. I'm now Executive Member for Children's Services and Councillor for Evendons.
I'm Julian McGee, I'm the Lead Member for Adult Social Care and Health and Wellbeing, and I'm the other member for Westcott.
David Lee, I'm a member from Norris and I am responsible for strategic highways and planning.
My name is Charlotte Hayden-Taylor. I'm a member for Shinfield South and the Legal Council.
Stuart Munro, Executive Member for Business, Regeneration and Business Development and Member for Sport.
I'm Chris Barry. I'm Executive Member for Highways and Transport. I represent the Evendons Ward in Wokingham.
Oh, hello there, I'm Michael Firmisher. I'm Deputy Executive Member for the Environment, Sport, Leisure and Libraries and Member for Hawthorne Ward in Lower Early.
Thank you. And take apologies.
Chairman, we have apologies from Councillors Norman Robinson and Simon Weeks.
Thank you. And I'd like to read a short statement. Councillor Michael Firmisher is attending the meeting on behalf of Councillor Robinson. However, in accordance with the legislation, Councillor Firmisher can take part in any discussions but is not entitled to vote. Okay, and we'll go straight to the minutes of the previous meeting on page 7 to 22. In this instance, we've got two meetings, the one on the 30th of March and then the one on the 25th of April, which is on the page 21 of the agenda. Does anyone have any comments? No. Okay, if you all want to raise your hands if you're in agreement with the minutes. Thank you very much. And declarations of interest, is there?
Yes, Chair, I'd like to declare an interest in items, I think it's item 6, on declaration of ABC holdings.
I would also declare an interest, a personal interest in item number 6 about the companies. I am currently a paid non-executive director of WBC Holdings. I am currently a non-paid member of Optimus Holdings, but that is changing because the structure of that company is changing.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lee. And now we'll move on to public question time. And there's a period of 30 minutes allowed for this, and we'll move straight on to Peter Must, if you'd like to come forward. Thank you.
In answer to my question at the meeting of the Executive on 24th of November 2016 about the Council's plans to provide with Network Rail a single footbridge across both railway lines of the Townhouse Crossing, the Executive Member for Planning and Regeneration said, "The Townhouse Crossing is one of 4 potential footbridge improvements identified on the Council's Community Infrastructure List, the 123 list. It is not currently in the Council's capital programme." At the meeting of the Planning Committee on 1st of February 2017, spokesman from Network said that it was his company's intention to replace the current footbridge over the Waterloo line in 2019. Given that such a bridge would not span both lines, could the Executive Member say what plans are now in progress to ensure that money is found, whether from SIL or other sources, to share the cost with Network Rail providing a disability-compliant bridge spanning both lines?
Thank you. And Councillor Barron, please can you answer the question?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Must, thank you for your question. Actually, my predecessor in this job, Councillor Martin Richards, had a meeting with Network Rail on the 16th of February this year. Now, although there's no formal obligation or allocated budget for this time, the Council and Network Rail have both agreed to look into the feasibility of providing a replacement single-span footbridge. Officers from our highways and transport team are currently looking at wider pedestrian and cycle linkage to a single-span footbridge and how better to make this a well-used key gateway into Wokingham town centre. Officers are also investigating how best a single-span footbridge could tie into the town centre regeneration works around the new multi-storey car park, and that's work, that's initial feasibility work is about to start.
Given that Network Rail looks to perhaps finish its bridge by 2019, might start next year, do you have a timescale to actually come up with the money that will ensure this project is delivered?
Well, as I say, this is very early stage. We're just getting into feasibility study, which should take about 2 to 3 months, and then we have to do a benefit analysis assessment, and then we come to the capital funding of it if we are successful getting through that stage. And that requires us to negotiate with different parts of the council to see whether the money is available, because it's not currently, as you said in your question, in the capital budget. So that's where we are, and that's where we're progressing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Must. Now we move on to member question time, and we've got one from Councillor Lindsay.
Glasses these days. Before I start, I just want to echo your words, Charlotte, that you just said. I think it's such a terrible shame what's happened in Manchester, and I think we're all quite upset. My question, is this from Michael tonight?
It is from Michael tonight.
Does an out-of-date dated minerals and waste local plan have any impact on the ability of Wokingham Borough Council to effectively manage or control any current or future applications of waste/mineral application until or when a new or up-to-date minerals and waste local plan has been put into place?
Thank you for your question, Lindsay. Whilst the current policy is dated, it complies with our statutory duty and has posed no risk to the Council whilst other priority policy has been progressed successfully. Any current and future minerals applications will be robustly assessed in line with national planning policy. The SAVE policies with the current replacement minerals local plan for Berkshire 2001 and all material planning considerations.
Do you have a supplementary?
Well, yes, this is the first time I've had any involvement with a waste of this particular type, so I'm not familiar. But I'm more familiar with the other type of planning, and the type of things I'm concerned about is there the equivalent in this process of what we have in the normal planning process, where, for example, if we get stuffed with our 5-year land supply, is there an equivalent in the waste and extraction local plan that if we haven't got enough of particular aggregates or something, that can cause us a problem? I'm just trying to understand the analogies and planning processes between the two, because I've not been involved with this type of particular planning application, and that's what I'm concerned about. So is there anything in that planning process that could cause us an unforeseen problem like that?
Yeah, as you appreciate, I'll just come on to this brief, so I think if I come back with a written answer...
Yes, I was looking at David as well. He had a bit more information planning before, but I don't know whether any of us have had anything with this before, because I don't know when the last one was done, to be honest.
We'll provide you with a written answer because they are very different from each other.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm trying to understand and grasp.
It's a good question, so...
yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. And the next question from a member is Councillor Bray.
She gives apologies, she's away.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. We'll provide a written answer back then. And that's it for member questions this evening. So we move on to the agenda. Item 6 is council-owned companies business, and that's page 23.
Yeah, although this isn't for me to bring, I would just like to bring to your attention the results of the owned companies, Optimus and the Housing Company. And if you have any questions, I would just like to point out on page 27 a couple of interesting points. If you look at the top, you'll see the Wokingham Housing Limited consolidated results show large losses. That is because these houses have not yet been built. But it is interesting to note that at the bottom of page 27, Phoenix Avenue, there are 22 houses which have now been handed over as complete. And the good news is that the bulk of those have already been let to people who are delighted to be able to move into those houses. So if you have any questions, I'll see if I can answer those, because I sit on the board of the holding company that looks at this.
Do members have any questions? In July there will be another report coming to the Executive, and there will be some proposals subject to the Optimus Holdings Board and the Holdings Company Board about changing of some of the non-executive directors, and those proposals have to go through those boards first of all. But the proposals for the appointments for the new non-executive directors would be Councillor Keith Baker, Councillor Anthony Pollock and Councillor Charles Margetts to the Optimus Holding Board, and to appoint Councillor David Lee, Councillor Stuart Munro and Councillor Pauline Jorgensen to the Wokingham Housing Holding Company Board. So we'll bring that report back July. So if there's no other questions, then we just take this report as noted. The next item on the agenda is item 7, and that's 21st Century Council, and this is Olga, and page 31 to 38.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to inform the Executive of progress over the last quarter and in the implementation of the 21st Century Council programme. The key highlights are in the report. At the moment it's pretty much in line with the plan. It's going live June rather than May, but one can expect a certain amount of slippage in a major project such as this. And if there aren't any questions, the recommendation is that you note the progress that is taking place in the 21st Century Council programme.
Do members have any questions? Okay. Just want to draw members' attention to the fact that we're coming to the end of phase 1, and the go live date is the 31st of this month. So far running on time and on budget, so that's good news. And whilst the recommendation is just to note progress on 21st Century Council, and this gets reported on a quarterly basis, and you still have to vote for it. So if you could raise your hands if you're if you approve this paper for the second time. Thank you very much indeed. And it was very remiss of me, but I'm going to have to go back, I'm afraid, to item number 6 because we didn't vote on it. But as it's to note, the recommendation is set out at the top of page 23. So if we go back, and the recommendation for the council-owned company's business is to note the budget monitoring position for the month ending the 31st of March 2017. And item 2 is to note the operational update for the period to the 30th of April 2017. So those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so to item 8 now is on page 39. It's the revenue monitoring 2016-17 outline report, and again it's to Oliver.
Thank you. This report presents the year-end position. It is awaiting formal confirmation from the external audit, but it is, to all intents and purposes, the year-end position. You'll note that the general fund is underspent, leaving a balance of 9.2 million, and the housing revenue is also underspent by 5 million, and the schools by £500,000. These are mainly timing issues.
Thank you. Do members have any comments or questions? Before moving on, I think it's important to again draw attention to the schools block, because there's more work that we need to do in terms of speaking to ministers, but obviously we're in power at the moment, so I will withhold comments further on that. But the report is to note the outturned position of the revenue budget and the level of balances in respect to the general fund, housing revenue account, schools block, and the authority's investment portfolio. And the executive is asked to agree the general fund carry forward request of £878,000 as set out in Appendix B to the report. So may I ask members if they approve the report and the recommendation. Thank you very much. Moving on to page 49 in the agenda item 9, the capital outturn report 2016-17. And again, Mr. Whittle.
This report is to draw your attention to the capital programme for 2016-17 and the outturn of that programme. It shows a total investment of 78 million, which is a growth of 59% from the previous year. And the projects overall were delivered in line with the budget, and the final outturn was an underspend of £3.8 million. The carry forward of 1.1 million out of £153 million is a very modest carry forward. And I think it's worth noting as well that the grand total on page 51 of 76.883 million is the highest investment that the council has made in any single year since Wokingham Borough Council was established.
Thank you. Do members have any questions or queries? I think it's very important that you talked about that point about our investment, and there's certainly been very much investment, and one of the items, of course, is superfast broadband, and we're just moving into the next phase of that at the moment, so we're in a quiet period for tenders, so we're very exciting to take out broadband right across the borough to, I think, 99.5% is the next phase, so very exciting. Does anyone else have any comments? No? Okay, so we'll take a vote on that. It's the executive asked to note the capital outturn and committed carry forwards for 2016-17 Appendix A. The executive asked to approve the carry forwards for schemes which are awaiting contractual commitment totaling 1.129 million, detailed in Appendix B, and note the overall value of the 2017-18 capital programme has increased due to the receipt of ring-fenced capital grant for early years for £387,000. Do all members agree with the recommendation? Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 10 in the report. It's page 61, and over to Councillor Foninger for this report.
So I believe Oliver is going to answer this one. That's what we told him.
Okay. Sorry, it's the proposed shared emergency planning services for those that might not have the agenda in front of them.
We have an agreed shared service agreement with Reading Borough Council. We were looking at joining in with a Berkshire-wide scheme. However, Reading Borough Council, we've decided that they did not wish to continue to join this scheme, and as we're very happy with our cooperation with Reading Borough Council, we have decided that we will continue on the same basis with working with Reading Borough Council and providing the shared emergency planning service between the two of us. It's a commitment for 4 years. We found it to be a very effective service and beneficial to us, and the ongoing costs are very much in line with the current costs that we're paying.
Thank you. Do you members have any questions or queries?
No.
Okay, I think on page 64 I just pointed out to the financials in the box there. It's £52,000 per year, but that is the same as the current contract at the moment, and should we have gone to a shared service across the Berkshire-wide footprint, then it would have been £8,000 more. So continuing with the service that we've got with Reading at the moment, which has thus far been a good relationship, we have made an £8,000 saving. So it's I think a strong recommendation that we bring here tonight. So the recommendation is that the executive are asked to agree that Woking Borough Council continue with its existing shared service arrangements with Reading Borough Council with a continuation agreement with up to May 2020. Now ask for your agreement. Thank you very much. So moving on to item number 11 in the agenda this evening, it's on page 81, the Central and Eastern Berkshire Joint Minerals and Waste Local Plan, the Issues and Options Consultation Paper. Over to Mike.
Yeah, this one is me. It's just a little bit of a summary. I just think it's all itemised pretty well in the report, but just a little bit of background that Bracknell Forest, Reading Borough, the Royal Borough, Wokingham Borough are collectively referred to as the Central and Eastern Berkshire Authorities. They work in partnership to produce a joint minerals and waste plan which will guide minerals and waste decision making in the area up to for the period up to the year 2036. The joint minerals and waste plan will build upon existing adopted minerals and waste plans for the Berkshire area. It will improve and update existing policies and provide details of strategic sites. The issues and options consultation is the first stage in the plan preparation. The purpose of this consultation is to engage with the community, which is very important, in discussion on the issues for managing minerals and waste for the next 20 years. The information obtained will then help shape the options for the plan's policies and site allocations going forward. The consultation document itself sets out a vision and objectives for the plan before discussing a range of issues relating to the minerals and waste and posing a number of questions for consideration by the reader. The consultation document does not propose any allocations of any sites, and the consultation period itself is between the 9th of June and the 21st of July, which is a period of 6 weeks.
Thank you. Do any members have any questions or comments? I'd just like to draw people's attention to page 82 in the last paragraph. The issues and options document includes consultation about the vision and the objectives, spatial strategy, as well as other topic areas including transportation of minerals, minerals demand, aggregate consumption, recycled and secondary aggregate, minerals safeguarding, estimating waste management capacity, inert waste management, future waste arising and future waste capacity. So there's a lot, it's a very thick document to wade through. I would recommend that if you want to have a look at it in depth and come back to us in the consultation, it's for 6 weeks as Michael set out. And I'd urge the public to have a look and make comment on it during that consultation period, because it runs for 19 years, this local plan, so it is very significant. So the recommendation this evening, I'll read it out, is that the Executive are asked to approve the issues and options report for consultation for a 6-week period, running from the 9th of June to the 21st of July, together with publishing supporting documents. And the Executive are asked to authorise the Interim Director of Environment, in consultation with the Executive Member for the Environment and the Executive Member for Planning, to agree minor changes to the Central and Eastern Berkshire Minerals and Waste Local Plan issues and options stage and other supporting documents prior to consultation. That includes any minor modifications would consist of non-material alterations such as rewording and correction of typing errors. All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. And the last item on the agenda this evening is item 12, which is the acquisition of land or property to support infrastructure delivery. It does have pink papers which are in part 2, so if any members want to mention anything or discuss anything or question anything in those pink papers, then I will be to ask for members of the public to withdraw from the meeting. So if you need me to do that, then please do let me know, and I'll pass over to David Lee to take the paper.
Thank you. It's 5 parcels of land to allow us to complete the SDL work. So if you have any questions for Charlotte, as I said, on the pink papers, we'll have to go into the private session. But generally, I think you will all have seen those explaining exactly why we're having to acquire those. So are there any general questions on those?
Mark.
Can I just confirm that they've all been agreed through private treaty and no compulsory purchase is needed?
That is my understanding.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. In which case, I'll read out the recommendation. The Executive is recommended to agree, as set out in Part 2 of the report, the voluntary acquisition of land parcel 1, land parcel 2, land parcel 3, land parcel 4 and land parcel 5. All those in agreement, please? Thank you very much. And that concludes this meeting. Thank you very much indeed.